Hello and welcome to my channel for a figure review. Now, I typically don't do reviews of new figures. Usually I'm making my own customs and vehicles and dioramas and things like that. But I have a lot of Matrix content on this channel. I've made several Matrix custom figures and I've also built a diorama for them, as well as showcased my McFarlane Matrix collection. So I thought this was pretty appropriate for my channel. So this is the box that it comes in when you open the shipping box. And then inside of that, we have this. It's unlicensed, so they call it like the Imperial Hacker. But this is the Neo 2.0, so this is the sequel version of Neo with the Cossack, which is the name of the kind of like tunic thing that he wears in the movie. This is a 1/12 scale figure by PCToys. They make really good stuff, so I was very excited for this one. Now, they made a version of Neo from the first movie, and I skipped it because I have a custom that I was very happy with. I also didn't like the head sculpt. It was like a shrink of the Hot Toys version, which I was not a fan of. I don't think that Hot Toys has really been able to nail Keanu's likeness, but this has an updated head sculpt. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. So let's open it up and take a look at it. All right, so here it is out of the box, and I really like the way this is all laid out, very clean. I'm a big fan of PCToys. I recently got their Men in Black figures, and they're just phenomenal. So that was a big part of why I ended up getting this one. All right, so accessories. He comes with the twin sai like he uses in the Chateau fight scene, and these have a really nice black glossy paint applied to them. They are plastic, but they feel pretty sturdy and pretty solid. We've got the sunglasses, and I think they look pretty accurate. You know, in the film, the parts that go over your ear and like the bridge part in the middle are very thin and almost invisible. You can't do that at this scale. I mean, I think the only thing they could have done is like silver wire, but I think, you know, this kind of slightly flexible plastic was the best way to go. Then we've got the twin MP5s, I believe these are. Now, nothing seems to move on them except for this little metal clip here on the back, but it does have like a two-tone paint job, so you have more of a metallic gray for like up here in the barrel and whatnot, and then it's black on the handle, and again you have that metallic color on the clip and everything. So and it's this tiny little trigger. I mean, that's impressive sculpting. So these are really nice. I don't remember him using these in the movie, but they are used throughout the Matrix movies, so cool to have in your collection. In fact, Morpheus used them, I believe, and I have some that came with the McFarlane figures, but these are much nicer. And probably the most impressive one is this. This is actually metal, which is very cool. It's got kind of a green color to it as well. I think this is a nice touch. It's very solid. And then last but not least, we have this stand. This is very much akin to like a Hot Toys stand, just in a smaller scale. Like, it's got this bendable arm. And then the coolest thing about these PCToys figure bases is that they have a little drawer for putting your accessories in. So the base actually opens up like this, and you can stick in, you know, the guns and extra hands, all that good stuff. So I really love that they include these. Now, I want to take a look at the different hands, because this is what's going to set this figure apart from, like, say, the custom that I made or one that you might make yourself. Right off the bat, you've got this iconic bullet stopping hand from Neo. And the cool thing about these is that they are fixed in this position. So the peg actually will just go into the forearm. So you can actually hit this pose without having like a weird wrist joint thing happening. So I really love that they included that. When you have something specific to the figure like that, it's really nice. You get two of these hands, which are probably for gripping the staff. They do have some flex to them. They're a little bit soft. They're pliable to the point where you can put accessories in them, which is always a plus. Then we've got two trigger hands. You know, these are pretty straightforward. You see these in a lot of figures. Nicely sculpted, and it's a little hard to see, but there is some paint detailing on them. And then we have these two hands, which are maybe sort of an all-purpose, like, kind of martial arts hand. You know, you could do kind of a come at me or I'm gonna grab you sort of thing. So those are pretty cool. All right, let's take a look at Neo himself now. So here we have Neo. Let's take a look at the head sculpt. I think this is pretty good. This is much better than the 1.0 version. Clearly they didn't reuse the same head sculpt, which I appreciate. It looks a little narrow, maybe, almost like the head's a little skinny. I don't know if it's reading like that on camera, but to the naked eye, it does kind of look like that. But I'm glad they didn't just reuse the first one, because it would have been inaccurate as well. Like, Neo's look changes a little bit from the first movie to the second movie. His hair is a little bit shorter. It's a little more combed down, and it's parted on the other side. So I like that this is much more of an accurate representation. So they get major points from me for that. The outfit looks pretty good. This is how it came out of the package. You can tell it's wired, so it's got a wire running through here all the way around, which is going to be great for posability. He has fists as his default hands. The tailoring on this is very nice. You have little buttons that run all along it. You've got little pockets for him, and let's see if these are actual pockets. They are. That's pretty great. Not that he like puts his hands in his pockets while he's in those movies, but the fact that they, that attention to detail is really nice. Now you can tell this is one of those bodies that accommodates the soft goods. So the shoulders sit pretty low. When you go up like this, you do get some bunching. So not my favorite thing when a body has that, but it will allow for some better articulation. So, you kind of take the good with the bad. The material feels very strong. So I feel like it will hold up to posing. Very nice shine to the shoes. I think the pants are very well tailored. They also have a little seam for the front flap. And, oh snap, come on PCToys, did you really? Pockets, incredible. Shout out to PCToys. Like I said, their Men in Black figures are fantastic, and this Neo is shaping up to be pretty good. Let's do the sock check. We got socks, baby. Look at that. That's the thing, with a character like this, when he's bending his legs and stuff, when you get that up, you want to see socks, and he's got them. Now you can make out a little bit of the ankle, so you're gonna have to probably maneuver the socks a little bit, but it's these kinds of attention to detail that really just make a figure like this worthwhile, I think. We've got a nice texture on the bottom of the shoes as well. I do want to get his glasses on him. Well, those go on very easily, and that really does round things out nicely. That's awesome. All right, let's talk about articulation. So the glasses don't want to stay on for this part, so we're going to leave them off so I don't lose them. Double jointed elbow, as Neo should have. Very grateful for that. I don't know what you would call this, but you can bring the elbow out to here and then boom. And it's not a butterfly joint. I mean, he may have a butterfly joint as well, but it's almost like there's another hinge at the top of the bicep and the base of the shoulder. That's really cool. I don't know that I've seen that before. And you guys might be like, yeah, dude, everybody does that, but it's new to me. And I have a lot of figures, so that's pretty dope. Let's see here. The head is on a joint at the base of the neck, so you don't have the articulation underneath the hairline. So that's how far he can look up. And doesn't get much looking down and tilt him side to side about that much. And of course, you can swivel 360. So probably a decent range of motion for this character. I mean, I know he does a lot of martial arts posing, but Keanu's kind of a stiff looking guy, and I think this only kind of works to that benefit. The wrist is on a ball joint, so you can hinge it, you can swivel it, it can pretty much go in any direction, which is great, especially for a character like this. There seems to be a torso cut, but it doesn't have a ton of range to it. However, you do have another joint at the waist, so yeah, you can kind of see a little bit there. So he can arch back pretty far. And then let's see how far he can bend over. Yeah, that's pretty good. Legs can go out to about there. He could do the splits if he was not in pants, but for soft goods, you do sacrifice a bit of the articulation, but I'm not mad at it because it looks great. Swivel at the hip as well. Got a double jointed knee, so his legs can go back pretty far. He can almost kick himself in the butt. Swivel is going to be at the ankle, and this is on a ball joint as well, so you can do just about anything with the ankle joint. Tilt side to side, forward, back, all that good stuff. Scale wise, we'll do some size comparisons, but this is a smaller 6-inch figure. This is going to be somewhere between like a Figuarts and a Mezco, maybe more in line with like a Mafex figure, or probably Marvel Legend. I don't really have any Legends to compare it to, but we'll take a look at some other stuff here. Quick update on the glasses. I found that on the right side here, they do notch in there pretty well next to the ear. Not so much on the left side, though there is a kind of a carve out spot for them, but here is where they actually seem to kind of clip on a little bit more. And that is what allows you to keep them on him while you move him around. In changing out the hand here, the whole ball peg came out pretty easy. I didn't have to force it at all. And then you just pop this other hand in, boom. Now it would be nice to kind of be able to hinge it just a little bit because it is kind of flat. Because in the movie he was about like that. So yeah, I think this looks great. And then the other hand goes back here. That looks pretty rad. Posing this guy is a lot of fun so far. I think there's a pretty high fun factor with this figure. You know, I had to bust out the Chateau diorama for this one, so just wanted to take a look at him in it, and I think it looks pretty dope. So let's do some size comparisons here. So here he is next to the SH Figuarts Bruce Lee and the PCToys Inkblot, aka Rorschach. The Bruce Lee is one of the smaller SH Figuarts figures, but seemed like a pretty apt comparison, especially given the pose I had him in. The Rorschach figure is pretty much the same size as a Mezco. So Neo is just a little bit smaller. You can see the shoulder height difference and the head height difference is off by just a little bit. Now Rorschach does have a hat on, but he is still a little bit taller. If you look kind of where their chins are at, you can see the difference. Here we have next to a NECA Farmhouse Casey Jones and the 6" plus Shadow Ninja. The Shadow Ninja is a smaller figure. It's a little closer to like SH Figuarts size. And then obviously the Casey's a 7" figure, but just wanted to show a little bit more range in the difference here. And then finally here we have him next to a Mezco Logan and a McFarlane Call of Duty Ghost. Now I chose these because Logan is one of the shorter Mezco figures, and this McFarlane Ghost figure is one you could have fighting Neo if you wanted to, so I thought that'd be a good size comparison. The issue I run into with size comparisons is that most of my figures are customs, so I don't really have a lot that is like a really good, like, hey, you might have this in your collection as well to compare it to. So kind of working with what I have and hoping that, you know, it's general enough that other people might have these as well. So yeah, I do think you could display this with Mezco figures if you wanted to. You just have to pose him in a way that he's not going to be standing directly next to one, like where his height would really come into play. So like if you had him in a mid-air pose or in a fighting stance where he's kind of lower to the ground, like you probably wouldn't even be able to notice. Alright, this right here is a huge deal to me because I have wanted a Neo that could hit this pose since I was probably 17 years old when I saw him fight those agents, the upgraded ones in the alleyway, and then he hit this pose and flew off into the air and the ground goes under him and does that kind of ripple wave effect. I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life, and I went home and I tried to make a Neo out of Sculpey clay that was in this pose. I basically was trying to make my own McFarlane style Matrix figure. So, you know, that was 20 years ago, and now I finally have it and I am so stoked. It looks so good. I decided that a black figure against a black background probably wasn't the best move, so I took that off. But yeah, here's another great pose. This thing is pretty wonderful. I think this is definitely going to be on my personal list of figures of the year. Just incredible. What a beautiful figure. So, final thoughts on this figure. I think it's fantastic. The posability is excellent. It's got great articulation. The soft goods are incredibly well done. Attention to detail is fantastic with pockets and, you know, the seam lines that you would see on pants and everything. The little buttons The wiring is great. I think the head sculpt is pretty fantastic. I give it probably an 8.5. I think the paint applications are really strong. Also, look at this pose it's in. It's balancing on its own like this. Some of the drawbacks, the hands are on really tight on the pegs, which is good, but the wrist pegs are a little bit loose, so the hands will just spin willy-nilly if they have a weighted weapon in them like this. The glasses, they do pop off kind of easily if you're posing the figure, and we only have one pair. I feel like they'd be really easy to lose if you're not careful. So do keep that in mind. If you have this figure, pose it first, then put the glasses on once it's in its pose. Other than those few small criticisms, I think this is a phenomenal figure. It comes with some pretty great accessories too. A great stand, the twin side, the MP5s, and a bunch of different interchangeable hands, as well as the glasses. And for a character like this who didn't really have accessories in the movie aside from the stuff he picked up when he was fighting people, I think that's a pretty great array of stuff. So PCToys is very high on my list of 1/12 scale figure manufacturers, and I'm very excited for whatever they put out next. That's going to do it for this video. I really appreciate you all coming along. As I said, I don't really do figure reviews much, so this was fun. Typically on my channel, I make custom figures, vehicles, and dioramas. So if you're into that kind of thing in this scale, please do check out my previous uploads because I think there's a lot of stuff in there you might enjoy. If you do enjoy this kind of content, go ahead and click subscribe. I'd love for you to come along with me as we look at this kind of stuff together. If you have any questions about this guy that I didn't answer in the review, please leave them down in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer them for you. Within this video, you'll have seen a brief trailer for my graphic novel, Count. It's my sci-fi reimagining of the Count of Monte Cristo. There's cool vehicles and impossible swords, androids and whatnot. It's a very toyetic kind of book, so I think if you're into this kind of stuff, you'll enjoy it. It's available at the Amazon link below in the description, as well as at your local comic book shop and bookstore. Thanks again for joining me, and until next time, keep your head on swivel.